Welcome to the latest dope episode of the HipPodHedz podcast. A podcast where no sage and no vac discuss their hip-hop inspired moments. Pull up a chair, grab a beverage, fill up your cup and get comfortable.
I'm Hayes, host creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central YouTube pages and podcasts. And listen, I love what Known Sage does. Y'all make sure y'all go and check out his hip hop podcast as well, which is HipPodHedz. You guys make sure you guys check him out on that.
Yeah, I know my guy Novak's gonna pop in, and that's kind of like the center of the conversation I wanted to jump in on. Like, there's so many different things that you're kind of making me geek out about, but I didn't realize that about Screw, man, because it's kind of like, so dig this, right? My younger one, literally last week, he was taking our vinyls and our records that we got, right?
Okay.
He was playing one thing on one vinyl, and then he started playing something on the tape. I want to say he was playing some Michael Jackson on the tape player, and he was playing like some rock stuff, 21 Pies, I think, or something on the tape, on the vinyl. So he was running them on top of each other, right? And a part of me was like, first of all, I was like, what are you doing? But then like part of me was like, man, all right, you engineering some stuff. So literally when I started watching that Screw YouTube documentary, like maybe a couple of days after, I'm like, wow, like Screw is actually kind of doing a lot of this shit, like layering vinyls on top of layers and slowing it down.
But you know, that's the trick. In the South, people didn't respect hip hop at all.
Right,
what I'm saying, not the South, we didn't respect it. People didn't respect Southern hip hop, right? So if you listen to like UGK's earlier albums, like they called them country rap tunes because people in New York, people in LA did not respect our music. Like my cousins in Michigan used to tell me I was listening to country music. And I had never, you know what I'm saying? So when I was, and then when they heard me listen to DJ Screw, they were like, man, wait, this sounds like when the batteries used to go bad in my Walkman. And I used to, so, and that's the only, so when I moved up north, that's the only way I could describe chopped and screwed music to people. Is you remember when your batteries used to slow down and they used to lose their power. But to me, that's what our hip hop was. Like when Face was out. So the first time I ever got a chance to listen to hip hop, I'll be honest with you. My mother never really let me listen to hip hop. My father at the time was a salesman for Canadian Club, which is the company that owns Maker's Mark, Cavassier, all those, right?
Right.
So he was a salesman and he was in Houston. Well, he used to handle all his on-premise accounts in Houston. So my father would leave and go to Houston every Monday morning and come back on Friday. But he would, during the week, he would come back for my basketball games and my baseball games and stuff like that. But he used to be in Houston and he used to throw these parties for makers. Well, Scarface or Brad, right. Him and all them used to be at the parties. So this was
You're getting it straight from the plug, man. You're getting like influenced.
So he used to be at the parties. So my mother would not let me listen to hip hop, mind you, right? So Face gave my father, or it might have been a promotional joint, he gave him a tape. And my dad came home that week from Houston, and it was the single for Let Me Roll. So that was like 92-ish.
Yeah.
So I got in my dad's car, and I said, Dad, can I play this tape? I played the tape, and Scarface, I've been a fan of him since that was like the first. Like, I didn't get like Fresh Prince, Parents Don't Understand. I didn't get any of that. I could watch Fresh Prince, but I couldn't like listen to music. When I heard Let Me Roll, my mother could not stop me from listening to hip hop no more. And Face was like everything, man. And so he was our mainstream. And then you had Screw and them all making other music. But Face was Jay-Z, essentially. He was that. He was everything hip hop to me in the South.
Man, I respect that story. I love that story. I mean, it's kind of like, it takes me back to the first time I ever heard Never Seen a Man Die, Till I Seen a Man Cry. Like, I was a fast fan. I was instantly hooked. I was like, who is this guy? We were chatting up a little bit before, we started recording. Yeah, like I definitely grew up on the New York rap sound. And to hear a lot of this stuff, it definitely was stuff that caught my ear, but I still had to kind of go back and kind of understand the culture and understand where it came from. And when you said that slow down tape sound, yes, that's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. But it's definitely for the I don't want to say the untrained ear, for the person who doesn't understand. Like there's a lot of like dope like artists on display there. You know what I mean?
Some nuances, because you have to some things you wouldn't even be able to attach yourself to. And I remember my buddies when we were in college, some of my friends had figured out how to chop and screw their own music. So what was the Sega Saturn? Sega Genesis? Whatever one it was, you could manipulate, because remember it had discs, right?
Oh, it's the Saturn.
You could Yes, the Saturn. Thank you. What's up, brother? I see the swab. I see this. You got swab house back there.
You got going down the pipe right now. That's how I got just. My cousins from Houston brought the music up, but I got family in Houston now, and it was Swab House, it was Tila, it was Crime Balls, it was.
She just died, or no? Crime Boss is still alive. Boss just died. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Crime Balls. You know, you get into you know, like just man, you know, the whole Scarface thing, man. You know, like Brad was that dude, still that dude. And you know, you get into Willie D, you get into Bushwick Bill, you know, I mean, you know, man, you know, that's great times because that music bridged us to the West Coast. What happened was Chicago's pretty country, if you ain't noticed. So what happens?
West side and south, yeah, definitely.
Pretty country, you know. You get into the big cars, you get into the big wheels, you get a chunk up the deuce, and people looking at it like, man, like you started talking that terminology, like the word parlay. That's y'all word.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm out parlaying, I'm out sparking. I'm like, what is that word? But that's that. That's
because the West Side reminds me of Houston. I used to tell. So you know that Church's Chicken off of Austin Avenue on the West Side. You familiar with that area? I used to play. Okay, so when I first got here, a buddy of mine, we were hooping. He asked me to play in a league at the YMCA on the West Side, right? So I said, "Cool, I'll run with you." I didn't know about the West Side, the South Side. I didn't know nothing. And the West Side reminded me of Houston so much that one of my older cousins told me that all the people from the West Side are from Mississippi.
That is correct.
Mississippi. Okay, yeah. So that's what makes me laugh about it, man. I love the South. And Suave House was one of my. Tila was the reason why I started wearing Kenneth Cole clothing. So you know that first album when Tila's on the front sitting with his leg crossed, he got on some Kenneth Cole shoes.
I remember that.
Started everybody in the South wearing the same shoe with the same silver buckle, man. I love it.
You gotta be thinking about Table Dance. That song Table Dance, man, was hilarious. Can you get a table dance? Yeah. You got like the little, you know, you got the real tight instruments in the background. I mean, Tila was smooth with it. And
you know that was Jazzy Faye, right?
I know.
Yeah. So that was.
I know.
That was his beginning. So we all ended up falling in love with his music, and he started with Tila. I didn't even know that until some years later.
Well, think about this situation. You think about like their roots down there. So it was Jazzy Faye, it was Tila. That's Jazzy's original sound. Then you listen. That's why we like it so much, because it's like you know, you can see like, you know, you get into DJ Screw, you get into you know, Comedian there, you get into everybody that was down there. And they all, you know, they don't sound the same, but you can tell the family tree. You can hear the Suave House tree.
100%.
You can hear Rap a Lot tree. You know, to me right now, watching the evolution of Brad into who he is today, Tiny Desk, man, you know, it's crazy. That Tiny Desk performance is insane, because a lot of kids today don't know who Scarface is. So when you ride playing you ride around playing Scarface, you ride around playing Scarface, you know, Smile or something like that, him and Pac, that's the more mainstream Brad. That's before the double album. The double album, man, that album is ridiculous.
Ridiculous. Yeah, I can't even. We say?
I played that album all throughout college. No shit can tell you. I play a lot of Scarface, man. And people like listen like, why you like Scarface so much? I'm like, he's nice, you know.
I think he was
Yeah.
He was talking. It was weird. Like when he came out with Never Seen a Man Die, and I'll say this in the best way I can because my homeboy used to say this. He couldn't listen to Face until the sun went down. That was his thing. I can't listen to Face until it's nighttime and we ready to go out because he felt like we were always getting ready to go into something that was like gonna change our lives. So you gotta listen, bro. I don't really want to hear about death, but I'm gonna go with it. We're gonna have some fun. But Face used to. I think when we all got older, and then Face started getting all the recognition from like Def Jam South, and they made him the president or whatever.
Remember
When he started getting that, I think that gave us in the South more credibility from Texas because nobody ever wanted to link with us. They only wanted South rappers to be their ghostwriters. That's another person you got right behind you is one of my favorites.
Oh my God,
Devin.
that Broccoli track, man.
One of my favorites. And if you really pay attention to his music, you know he's just a Southern version of Danny Brown.
That is it.
If you pay it
without the Adderall, that's it.
Yeah, without the Adderall, man. So my family is from Saginaw, Michigan, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of my family lives in the D. So I was there. I lived in Detroit from 98 to 2003. So I was there during a lot of Danny Brown stuff. And I used to hear like things about him, like when he was first starting. And I thought he was a joke rapper, just like Bizarre was from D12.
Yeah.
And then I realized he was more like Devin the Dude, and that gave the respect. That another thing that led me back to Texas. That's why I started listening to Danny Brown. Like you said, minus the drugs though. I can't. I'm not taking Adderall for fun. You saw what he did to Dave Chappelle, right?
Yeah. Made Dave don't do drugs with Danny Brown.
You can't do it, man. So I get it. But yeah, that makes sense. But Devin was cold, man. Devin is cold. He just came out with an album, or comes out with one next week, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw someone on his page, so I'm excited. I enjoy the respect that everybody has given to the South now, and because everybody puts Face in their top 20.
I agree. I
top 20. He's top 10. He may be top five compared to who in the group. I mean, lyrically, man, you can't mess with that. I mean, like think about, Thugger, Slim Thug, and everybody down there, they look up to him, and
100%.
Yeah, Thug is another one that's underrated. Then you get the Paul Wall style. You get into Dr. Teeth down there. It's music, it's hip hop, it's Teeth, it's liquor. The first time I went down there, like I got family down there, and they're talking about lean and everything. You're like, what is this purple Sprite? And then it came back up. It came back up here, and the North couldn't deal with purple Sprite, and it created problems.
I hate to tell you, that's hopefully my mom don't see this. That's the only thing that got me through college. Was Dirty Sprite, man.
Hey,
I hate
hey baby, gotta get through it, man.
I hate to say it, man, but I used to back to the top rappers. The funny thing about it is every time I talk to somebody about their top rappers, you have to ask them first, where are you from? Because if you say, you have to say regionally, find out where they're from. Because Face, for me, is going to be in my top 5, but my number 1 rapper is Andre. Like Andre 3000, anything and everything. I'd have been to four Outkast concerts. So over the years, they're going to be my top. Honestly, for me, Jay-Z is number 5 or 6. But that's because I'm from the South, right? But if you ask somebody from New York, they're going to tell you Jay up there, and they're going to tell you Mobb Deep. And then you got people from Chicago going to tell you, they might mess around and say, they always going to say Kanye, but some people put Common. I don't know.
I mean, I can't throw Kanye in there as a rapper. He's an entertainer. He's not making hard bars. He's making production for other people to shine on at this point. It's always been that way.
Cracking jokes. That's what he does. Yep.
Common, the problem making Common top 5 is the fact that Common's like Nas. he needs production in order to elevate. You know,
100%, 100%.
The poet, if lyrically, Common and Nas are in a different lane. But if there's no production, then nobody buying the album. You go back to Devin Miami. Devin's production. Devin's one of the greatest storytellers. He's on that Slick Rick level in terms of telling stories.
He is.
Especially the Devin driving places. I Chicago one night, and I was like, I was still wide awake. Now, if I listen to Jay drive from Chicago to St. Louis, I'm asleep, or I got to pull over and get some McDonald's or something. But he kept me up because he's funny. He's funny as hell.
Yeah. And he tells some good stories. Yeah,
great storyteller. Like I remember the track he did on the Scarface double CD, show them what they made for, and you listen to that, you're like, what is this?
Yeah.
It's a hidden gem on the Scarface double CD. I mean, him and Devin's chemistry is phenomenal. I mean,
phenomenal. Kind of remind when they get on a track together, and Jason, you could probably attest to this. Devin and Scarface, when they rap together, it kind of feels like Raekwon and Ghost. Like they are just going seamlessly through, like they can tell a story, and I love it. Always have though.
It's a Quemini. It's a Quemini. Like when it's almost like Big Boy and Andre before they split, and once they split, you can't put it back together because they too different now to come together and work as a group again. It's sad, It
is sad.
I mean, now you got to be thinking UGK because man, I love Pimp C. Pimp C, man, Port Arthur down there, man. And Pimp Man had some great albums. That Posthumous album, man, even though it was sad to listen to that album, but he was out in everybody and everything that bothered him on that album.
100%. He actually, I'd have to look and like really think about it. I think, but him passing was the reason why I stopped sipping. Because he died, I want to say he died in a bathroom at the Victorian Inn on the seawall in Galveston. Like, I think he just couldn't, because you know what lean does to your body, right? Yeah. Okay. So the fact that it slows down your heart and constantly sipping it over years, that's why they had to get Wayne off of it, because your body can't compete with it. Right. Your body cannot fight back. And I think when Pimp died, that was the reason why I kind of just wasn't trying to even go back to it, man. Because it just always, it's almost like, you know how have you ever taken cough syrup, like you Robitussin or NyQuil or whatever? And when you got a cold, you trying to get past it. Yep. Those 2 or 3 days you trying to get past it. But the 4th or 5th day, you're done being sick, and your body is still telling you to go take a sip of that medicine. It's telling you to go take another sip, and you can't do it because if you keep listening, that's the same thing, and it's just a lower form of a drug. Yeah. And I think when I saw him pass, and it kind of slowed me down, but it was weird looking at UGK. I think just like I can't remember. The first person to pull me in and listening to UGK was Pimp, because he was extravagant, he was flamboyant, he was this. That's the same. Exactly. That's the same thing that pulled me in to Outkast. You saw Big Boy first, and you saw the Pimp, you saw Big Boy doing this, you saw him doing that, and then you get to listen. It's like, damn, Andre is extra cold. That's how I felt about Bun B. I started listening to UGK and then realized, oh, Bun B really raising people. Pimp is still like right here doing the same thing.
Just gliding.
But just gliding. Yeah. So it's everybody, it's a good and it's like a give and a take in a group, I guess you could say.
No,
I used to try to
balance.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, what was your take on, because I think you told me once that you felt like the Ghetto Boys act was almost like, I don't know if it was just sort of like, because you talked about Bizarre just a moment ago. My mind goes to almost like D12 and Eminem. So you felt like the Ghetto Boy thing was like a caricature almost, in a sense.
I thought it was, because you had to see where I was coming from. Face was the first person I heard, right? So I got a chance to really hear him. So I knew him. Bill just looked like a joke to me. like it was like he was somebody to draw you in. And Bill had things to say. Bushwick Bill had things to say, but everybody, being a little person and not really respecting him in that regard, because black folks can be some of the most some of the most non-feeling people you'll ever see. And if you see him come up, you start laughing. But he's speaking about his communities just like Face and Willie D. And Willie D was just it was like Face was right here, Bill was here, and Willie D was just over the top. Willie D has the funniest verse, not even a verse. He has the funniest comment in the song I've ever heard. Face is rapping and Willie D says, "I live by the sword." And it was like, what? He just came from, he said, "I something, and then I'm paranoid." He made it rhyme, but it was just like, where Willie D come from like that? But then you see him now, and he's like not an upstanding member of the community, but he has a lot of hip hop history. But it was almost a caricature, man, because they showed the, I guess, the higher ups what they wanted to see. Right. Just like our hip hop now. If the higher ups only want misogyny and they only want you to show all of our women portrayed as whores and all this, then they're going to keep trying to sell that to us. That's what Bushwick Bill and Willie D and Face was doing, was showing them this and getting in the door and then speaking to us. And I love that.
That's a good assessment, because I mean, like, I compare it to D12 and Eminem and Bizarre, because like, as comical as they are, they can spit. And when you're talking about like Devin, like you almost thought he was kind of like a funny act, but then you kind of like look on the surface and actually got talent. Like Bushwick actually got bars, bro. He can spit.
Yes.
To your point, they're leaning into this horror rap / extreme hip hop, and it's kind of like, what sells at that point?
But Willie,
and of course, go ahead.
Willie D is like, you're right. He'll say something just so far off right field. They can be real. They can be real serious with, man. Like he said up on "Damn, it feels good to be a gangster." He goes, "Now I got the world swinging from my nuts. Damn, it feels good to be a gangster."
And I was in the 7th grade. I felt the same way. You understand what I'm saying? I felt the same way, man. Willie is and was something else, man. I guess I couldn't vibe with it, but it was always funny. It was almost like a piece just to hear him say, kind of like I can't compare him to Flavor Flav, because Flavor ain't even a rapper. He's just a hype man.
He was like, he in the back with the sign talking about, "We getting ready to come on." Like, you remember that? You remember Willie D used to say, "So your mama walk in the room, turn down the music, pretend like you're doing homework." I said, hell.
He was teaching us at an early. He was teaching us, man. I love it. Yeah, I guess I could compare them to D12. My son just asked me last night when we was riding the car. He asked me, did I like Eminem? And I had no way to quantify that, because I was living in Detroit when Eminem came out, right? And I was a big fan. He used to, I don't know how old y'all are. I'm 47 years old, right? So I lived on the edge of Detroit, right in Ypsilanti. Have you heard of Ypsilanti before?
I know where that is.
Oh, okay.
You like north, almost off of 8th Mile. I know where you at. I know where that is.
Well, Ypsi is right before you get to Ann Arbor. So I was right at Ypsi when Earl Boykins was balling there, and Charlie Batch was the quarterback.
I know Earl.
So I was there when they were there. But Eminem used to be giving out his tapes, and see, this is before he met Dre. He used to be giving out his tapes and CDs at Puffer Reds in Ypsi. And I heard it, and one of my guys, so of course, I ain't listening to white rappers at all. So one of my guys was like, "You need to listen to that kid." And he made me like a mixtape, and I became a fan. So when my son asked me last night, when people ask me who are my top 10 rappers, I don't say Eminem, and I realized that I'm biased because once the American community got a hold of him and they tried to make a white rapper our number one rapper, I stopped listening to him. So I say that because he's kind of in the same door as how I almost felt about Brad. I thought Brad had sold out when he became president of Def Jam, but they had just convinced him to take a job here. And when he realized that he couldn't do what he still wanted to do, he got back to rapping. I think that's why a lot of people forgot about him before this Tiny Desk. He has about 15 of, I'm saying 15. How many albums does he have? 13 or 14?
Got a lot.
I think 14. I think 14.
You see what I'm saying? That's a lot of content that most people stop. I can't think of anybody in the South of our rappers who has had 14 or 15 albums and they've been consistent all the way through.
And he's got like those collaboration albums. I think you're talking about like Novak, like the double CD, like the Me and My Homies and all that.
He got longevity.
Mob.
I mean, it's a lot of rappers that came out the South, even North, that basically faded off at the 1 or 2 joints.
Mm-hmm.
Even think about Swisher House. That's going to the other institution down there. Look at Lil Kiki.
Yes, sir.
Look at Lil Kiki. Lil Kiki has some of the most classic, iconic lines.
100%.
Oh man,
Southside is a classic.
Classic, man. Kiki always is dope, man. But the thing is, he never, he had a lot of albums that nobody know about. So Kiki dropped the album in 2023, 25 Summers. And I remember listening to that on Spotify. And my kid, of course, at the time was a little bit about like 10 at the time. She go, "Look, Kiki, is that a girl or a guy?" I'm like, "Put your headphones back on. Put your headphones."
So they don't know. They have no idea, man. I was telling my wife this. I was laughing. And Kieran, your son will talk about this, Jason. How old is Kieran? 12?
Yeah, he's gonna be 13 later on, but yeah, he's 12 right now.
Think about this. They have only known Chris Brown.
Yeah,
that's it. We've given them Michael Jackson and Prince and let them hear our music, but they have only seen Chris Brown. And I couldn't really when I was thinking about that, like these people don't know about Lil Kiki in the South. I mean, the older people my age do, but when we were in the barbershop the other day, they played a song by Kurt Cobain. You remember that song?
What are you talking about?
Drink in My Cup.
Yeah,
that was the first song that kids had ever heard of chopped and screw music.
Really?
Besides that, it was Timbaland and Missy using it in their background, or maybe Chopped and Screwed by Ludacris and T-Pain. That might be.
That sort of don't count, but it's like
it don't count. It don't count.
That's like drinking Wildwood when you want Pepsi. That's what that's like.
I hear you, man. Yeah, it's the Southern rap has been a good basis. I think that was also what Jay-Z manipulated with I guess on his business acumen. Do y'all remember when Jay-Z was just going around doing songs with Southern rappers? You remember he did that song with he did the remix of High with Juvenile.
Yep.
He did Big Pimpin'.
Yep.
I'm trying to think. He did like 3 or 4 other songs in the South with certain people, kind of the way that this little boy Drake does. Yeah. If you got a hit, he gonna try to do a remix with you and stay relevant.
That's that rap vampire that me and No Sage always talk about.
Yes.
He went to Philadelphia. He took Young Gunners. He took Chris and Neve's whole style and started rapping like a film rapper.
He ended Chris's career. You understand what I'm saying? I remember the Young Guns out. So this is funny. Once again, another funny story, I guess. After a while, my father had worked his way through the liquor industry, and he was, I guess, not VP of marketing, but he was everything for Cavassier across the country. Mm-hmm. Well, do y'all remember Rel, the singer for Rockefeller?
I do, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Rel he signed a deal with Cavassier somehow and they released his first album. And his album to me right now is still a classic, but it never released because Jay-Z just wanted to sign him and have him to do a couple hooks on his album. So they never released his album. So his album only releases a Cavassier album. That's how dirty Jay. That's how dirty Jay was. He just wanted to have him just on the song. It was like, and I had it. I used to bump into my car. I thought it was a classic, man. It never released.
It's like Christian. Remember Christian? Basically, remember that group Christian? And
Up in Smoke, the
Up in
two
Smoke.
twins.
Yeah,
Cold.
the twins. Remember they on the they're on the Streets is Watching movie. They're prime front and center on Streets is Watching. And they're supposed to be like Genuine times two. And something happened over there and Jay canceled that movement. And and Christian disappeared.
Yep. Same thing. Did the exact same thing to them. Because that album, I forgot about that Streets is Watching album.
Mm-hmm.
That had I think only 2 or 3 songs on it. Really, the artist really took off. Everybody else, Jay-Z ended them. I can't say Jay-Z. They probably was breaking under Dame Dash or something. Who knows? Because that's a lot of a personality to be dealing with on an everyday basis.
Well, Rel is up on Diplomats, hanging out with the Diplomats, and then how Harlem and Brooklyn don't get along. So Harlem and Brooklyn, that's like North Side, West Side, South Side in Chicago, and it's split.
That's what I've learned.
So to come together and making money, the East Coast is weird, man, like that. You think in terms you look at Beans out there right now, still mad,
still angry.
I love Beans, but the Beans Jay-Z thing now, the common denominator in all this stuff, I know we on the pod is Jay. Jay is the common denominator in every beef that's going on right now. But you can't speak that because he runs the industry. So you have to take a back and go to his breakfast and smile. That's how this works right now.
It looks where there's smoke, there's fire. I think once they finish with Diddy, they going after him. It's they make their way to you. Russell Simmons left the country just to go to a non-extraditable country, just so he couldn't get caught. I think over the years being around, I've heard some wild things about Puffy that I cannot speak about on here. But
I've heard him too.
You've heard some wild things, and
an attorney,
Jay is going to end up having some problems. But I think what is that term? You live long enough to become the villain.
Yeah, you either die the hero or you live long enough to be the villain.
Yeah, it'll happen. You'll have, what I'm saying. I want to become a villain right before I die. I'm gonna be good for it. Then all of a sudden, I'm just gonna curse somebody out, man.
Jay, but Jay's been the villain and the hero in 3 different lifetimes. I don't know what volume he's on right now, but you had the Carters. He went the Family Man route. They kind of smoothed out the drama, and everybody loved Jay because everybody loves Bay. And then Swans tried to kill him inside the elevator. And then after that, he bounced back. He's Teflon. It's like, LeBron James, Jay-Z, similar parallels. I like that dude as an athlete. I don't like him as a person sometimes because of the baggage that comes with it. That guy is fired. Every coach around has been fired. Every coach has been fired. You got
I didn't vibe with him. Man. He you guys can answer this. Have you ever seen a coach have a 60-win season and get fired the next year, the beginning of the next season? Mike Brown.
Don't forget about the Russian guy. The Russian guy had a good year.
Yep. 60 wins, and then you get fired as soon as LeBron leaves because they figured you can't do nothing without him. Right. And that's that. But that goes back to him. Nike trying to hide that video of him getting dunked on by Jamal.
Jamal
Kid who played for Xavier. What's
that guy's name?
Played for Xavier. Jamal. He was from Detroit.
He's about 6'4", 6'5". He boomed him really nice. Yeah. Pulled that thing back.
He got him, and they had the camera right behind the goal, and he dunked on him. And Nike scrubbed the whole internet to get rid of that video, and that gave him so much shine. He was a high school kid. I think he went to Pershing or something in Detroit, and he couldn't even show nobody the video of him dunking on LeBron.
Have you seen
it? It was like, come on.
Have you seen it re-released? There's a website called Boxed In. I don't know if you know about BX. So check out Boxed In, BOXDEN. It's a whole sub community of people that talk stuff all day. You got you ever see a rapper join a blog site to talk trash back? This happens on Boxed In. So when
seriously?
when LeBron got dunked on, the video was on Boxed In. So people chimed in and stuff like, Bron just got yammed on. So Bron's people got on the site and started talking crazy about he didn't really get dunked on. He was out to play. Somebody called out help. There was no help call. He just got dunked on. There was no communication. It happened fast. When people get dunked on, there's no time to talk about it. It just happened.
There's no time. We don't have you. If you came up on help defense, you still got dunked on.
You got dunked on.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
Take that L, go sit down. So they did try, but it lives. It lives.
My teammates still joke about my senior year getting dunked on by somebody. It wasn't Brian Skinner. It was somebody from Killeen, and I got switched up. Guy dunked on me 2 heads and swung off, and and they said we got our 30th class reunion in November, and somebody said let's blow up the picture when Mark got dunked on. I said, you know what? I'm not bringing my wife. I'm not bringing my kids to this class reunion. Y'all ain't gonna do me like this. But I just took it, right? That's what basketball is.
I got a coworker. I ain't gonna say his name on this podcast. He probably listens. He got dunked on by Jordan at Duke. He's on the Duke roster, and we found out about it. We changed his wallpaper at work. This is Mike with the Converse on got him. And nobody at that time. And we were like, hey man, we heard about it. Because he's always talking, how it is, you at work, you found out somebody's a hoop somewhere, and he's walking around with his chest stuck out, and he's also a pastor of a church. So I was like, hey pastor, I heard you got blessed.
Yes, sir.
He got mad. He goes, how do you know? Because this is before multimedia, it's for media and
before all of it.
Stuff. We went out and Googled and found the Sports Illustrated. So we got the Sports Illustrated article. We blew it up and we put it on his desk. And he was just like, he didn't speak to us about 2 weeks. He finally broke silence with us one day at lunch. He goes, I hate all y'all. I hope you know about the greatest play of all time. And we looked at him like, you know what? I'm gonna walk away on that note because it happens.
That's how it feels, man. And it's basketball. You just got to work past it and keep on going. But that's I think that's the era that we're in. And equating LeBron and Jay-Z, I think once they realized they could change the narrative on social media, right, and curate it to fit their image, I think that's what they decided to do. Half the time, I don't even think it's LeBron trying to change it. I think it's just people in the background like wizards trying let's do this, show LeBron doing this, show him doing that. And it's just like, why can't you just let us see a normal human being, right? I think part of the reason why what was that, Hitch? The girl fell in love with him for all the stuff that he did that was funny, not for the clean, all his character imagery. She fell in love when he took him through his breathalyzer and this and that, so that people need to see your normal life. And I think that's what coming back to Scarface, I think that's why he has a whole nother level of new fans, because that tiny desk showed you everything that he had in his arsenal. Mm-hmm. It showed you that he has been a musician since he was little and he's played the guitar. I didn't even know that. And I've been a fan my whole life. I didn't know that. I didn't know him. Right. I didn't know him and this white guy that's right beside him, have been working on live instrumentation his whole career, and they've been making these songs and then bringing everybody else in the studio. I didn't know that. So it's like, I would rather see all these other pieces. Don't push us away and not try to show us. I need to see normalcy. You know what I'm saying? It shows me why we relate. So.
Well, you think about the musicality. You think about like J. Cole and the rest of these guys that play instruments and play pianos and stuff like that. You don't see that anymore. Like Andre 3 Stacks is a musician. He plays 4 or 5 different musical instruments. And a lot of these guys were in band in high school. They don't want to admit it. They were in band when they went to high school.
Yep. So now let me ask you this.
MC.
Did you listen to the Flute album?
I did.
Yep, me too.
Y'all both listen to it?
Yes, sir.
I gotta tell you, I ain't do it.
Oh, man.
I ain't do it. I listened to it for about 1 minute, man, and I gave it away. I left. I couldn't do it.
Damn.
And then to see CeeLo and Cujo and what's Cool Breeze, all of this concert the other day, and seeing it online, I'm like, man, do I really need to listen to this? No. I am not doing
Come
it.
on, bro. But to go back to your guy listening to Face after the sun goes down, you need to listen to that shit as the sun starts going up. You know what I mean?
Right. Outside like this.
Find your best yoga pose and just get in it, bro.
That's all you can do, because I can't. I have been wanting to like go wherever he is and like just see him and see like and just see the vibe that he's giving off, because I know it's got to be something beautiful, man. But I just can't really. I used to travel going to their concerts, and once they broke up or stopped, they never broke up. Once they stopped making music, I just couldn't go back. Like I went to the AT Aliens album release party, and I went to the concert they had in Indianapolis because I was living in Detroit. And I even took my cousins to an Outkast concert in Saginaw with Jake the Flake. Have you all ever heard of him?
I heard him.
Jake the Flake, MC Breed, the Dayton Family, UGK, and Outkast. And just what you would think happened, a full fight broke out at the concert. And ended up going over across the street thinking I'm getting away from the fight in the hotel, sitting in the lobby. Mm-hmm. They start busting outside. The fight leads into the hotel lobby because that's what Dayton Family and Jake the Flake and them were. But Outkast was during the Andre 3000 blonde wig and the shoulder pad era. So I'm a big
79 for
I'm a big what did you say?
I remember 79 for Halstead, Dayton Family. They got jumped. They came to Chicago, got jumped, and made a song about it.
Like, they made a song about it.
They got a whole song called 79 for Halstead. Dayton Family was big in Chicago. It's just that Chicago.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, out south, they know who they are because you talking psychodrama. You talking you talking,
Do or Die.
Do or Die.
Yeah. Big fan of Do or Die, yeah.
Crucial Conflict. Yeah.
Do or Die. No, they're the neighbors, man. You know, like
you
catch them out west going to the gas station. That's how crazy it is. The same thing. It was more, you're right. You get into the musicality of these guys. Like Pimp C played the piano, the trumpet, and the drums. So
I didn't know that till years later.
Yeah, he's a train. He took music lessons from big time jazz musicians. Trained him.
Ain't that crazy?
Yeah, ain't it crazy?
Well, they were in a beautiful city. Port Arthur is it's a port, right? Mm-hmm. But it still had crawfish. You can go right there and eat it. It's bars on the beach. Port Arthur is a beautiful city. It's just their disparity is like they have really nice beach area and the rest is poor. So I could see him learning from here and then living over here. I could totally see that. That would make sense because there's just so many things about Houston and Port Arthur and Galveston that we didn't mess with. Houston was like the equivalent of people being scared of Chicago, like in our suburb out here in Niles, and us telling kids, "Oh, well, you know what? You don't really need to go into Chicago too much because that's the big city." That's how people used to talk about in Austin. That's how you used to talk about Houston. Mm-hmm. And then add insult to injury, when I was a freshman in high school, my nose guard, his family was from Houston, and he had his mother and father got him all gold teeth for his sophomore year for Christmas. So he got the whole top gold. Right. And I guess he looked like somebody in Houston, so they killed him mistakenly in Houston when he went to visit. And he was a sophomore. So that just added to the mystique of us all being scared of Houston.
Houston, right.
Damn. So as much as I love the music, I never really messed with them. I realized like the Fifth Ward was like a fun place to be when I got older, but
you got
you got to be careful.
Houston is a more silver version of Gary. Like Gary got lakefront property, and when you go out to Gary, those days you go out there, there's people buy $800,000 house that live off Lake Michigan, and then you go into the rest of Gary, and you see the Michael Jackson house sign in the middle of the street. You're like, okay, Michael Jackson was born here. But what happened after Michael was born? Why is everything burnt out? In Gary,
everybody else left.
Everybody else left, but Michael Jackson's house is the lakefront. And
Gary is tough.
Everybody wants that land out there right now. I mean, Chicago's the same thing. Gentrification is a bad thing sometimes. Especially like you think about all these different rappers, all these different athletes, and where they come from. Yep. It's some neighborhoods out there, man. You go visit and be like, wow, this is fucked up.
So, yeah, that's terrible. It's terrible. Well, you see, Dame, you see Dame started this recently. You know, Dame started telling people to go buy property in Gary. Did you see that?
Yeah, I know.
He did that a couple months ago.
He bought 3 houses out there. He bought 3 houses. Yep. To make 1 mansion in Gary because he's interested in the rap scene in Gary. Because Gary got rappers. You know, you already know. I mean, Gary rap style is like taking the West Side and South Side and having this hybrid baby, a drill music and something else and soul. It's drill and soul coming together as one. It's kind of scary, but it's working.
It is working for them. Mm-hmm. I guess I haven't really listened to Gary rap. The only person I listen to is Freddie Gibbs, right?
Freddie Gibbs. And Freddie more West Side than he is Gary. That's the crazy thing about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I like Freddie, man.
Don't forget
Donnell. What was that album?
Don't forget Donnell Jones came out of Gary.
Donnell Jones is from Gary?
Yes.
Never knew that.
Yeah.
Love him. Never knew that, man. Okay. I gotta listen to some more Gary. That'll give me somewhere else to listen. I can't get into the Detroit rappers now. I'll listen to Gary. I'll check that out. I can't listen to the T Grizzlies and the 42 Dubs and the
man, T Grizzly, man. That's just like listening to the Memphis situation. Memphis and Chicago people who left because there was too expensive to live here. So we put our property to Memphis. And Memphis game banging on music like it's early 80s. You know?
Memphis is tough. Oh, that's where Mushroom guy got killed at the cookie store, right? Mm-hmm. In Memphis. Yeah, Memphis is something I've heard, like, business wise. They even like tell us don't really go do a lot of stuff in Memphis. Like, I've navigated my events that I'm having this year, of course, to Austin and to Nashville, but I wanted to do something in Memphis, and my corporate office was like, nah. Wow. Let's not mess with Memphis right now. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. So I understand where they're coming from. I've heard some things.
You know, they want to dance game, bang, and rap. That's what Memphis is about.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That juking is weird, man. But I mean, they've made it into something.
I mean, they made it into something. Lifestyle out there. I mean, you think in terms of, like, you ever watch a Memphis video? Like, if you talking about, let's go back to the 3 6 Mafia, and you go back by Juicy J and how much they took out the South, the other part of the South. Juicy J is more Houston like than he is Memphis like. If you ever listen to the music,
100%. Yeah,
the evolution.
100%.
You know, I do worry that, you know, the problem, what you're about to see right now, this whole Gotti thing out there is bad. You know,
the Yo Gotti situation.
Man, it's terrible. It's gonna cost a lot of people their life right now, because the thing is, you know, Dolph is that dude out there. I didn't appreciate Dolph until Dolph passed. I'll be real about it. I started listening to Dolph one day. I was driving around the city, and I was listening in my car, and I pulled up next to this guy, and this guy knocked on my window. He literally stuck his hand out of his car, knocked on my window, and said, "You turn that up?" And I'm looking at him at the light, like, I'm out west, so I'm looking like, I got my pistol with me anyway. I can still carry. I got my gun with me. I turned it up a little bit for him. Yeah, that's that Dolph, man. Let him talk, man. Let him talk.
Let him talk.
Yeah, I'm like, because, you know, Dolph is like a pastor. Dolph rap like he's at a church.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, we didn't get a chance to see him evolve into a better man, but, you know, we saw the makings of what it would be like if I don't know who took him out. I ain't gonna speculate on that, because that's what people get. That's what people get things misconstrued, because that's what people dying right now, because we don't know the whole story behind that stuff. So I stay above that, because, you know, a lot of people get so caught up in them beefs, and they get mad at you about who you think did it. And I'm like, I don't know who did it. And, you know, this stuff is bigger than hip hop, to be honest with you. So,
do you have the same feeling about Nip?
Yeah, nah. You know what? I always knew who Nip was. The issue with Nip is that Nip was more of a guy that dropped gems than a rapper. Sometimes you ever watch his interview?
True. Yeah. I was watching him heavy before he even died. Like the last 2 years, I've paid attention to him more as a man than I did as hip hop.
Some of the best interviews I've ever seen, just breaking down stuff. So when Nip do something stupid, I just be like, he's so smart. Where's this coming?
Why?
So, you know, there's two Nips. There's Nip on camera and there's Nip off that camera. That situation with the guy out there, Is it avoidable? Yeah. If you disrespect somebody, they're coming back. And that's the sad thing in this world. So the guy coming back is, this dude had disrespected me, and they're the same set, everything. So that's like
everything.
It ain't like some blood rolled up on the crib. No, this is crib on crib violence. So it's sad to see.
Which is normal for them. That's who kill them first.
Here, unfortunately. So but he would have, he could have, if he had to back down a little bit in that situation, but that's the law of the jungle, where if he shows some weakness to old dude, he might as well have been dead in that situation.
Might as well retire.
Yeah, or you gotta kill the guy before he kill you. So that goes back to the principle of she had taken him out when he got into it with him, because he came back. That's the bad news.
Yeah. He had an interview probably 6 or 7 months before he died, and this young fella said somebody asked him from the crowd about his tattoos and his criminal background or whatever, and he said, "Let me ask you a question." He said, "You got your gang tatted on your arm, right?" And the guy said, "Yeah." He said, "If you ever get in trouble for a fight or you steal something from somebody's house, they gonna hit you with an extra 10 years for gang enhancement." And he said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You got your gang right here on your arm. That is gang activity if you do anything illegal." Mm-hmm. And when I heard that, and it's like every young man in the crowd, their eyes lit up like, "Oh my God." Because he was talking to all gangbangers, right? And it just made sense to them. And they all realized, and they started clapping, something they didn't know. And there's always a little piece of what he said that somebody needed to hear in the crowd. And I think that's why he wasn't relating to everybody, but I think he picked a couple different people in the crowd to relate to and make it be a meaningful conversation. And I think that's what I liked about him. And then I discovered that last album is like my top 10 albums.
Oh man, Victory Lap. Yeah. So it's so smooth. Like when you listen to it in the car, grinding is the one track that pulled me into Nip. He started talking about what the work he put into it. Like he was more hip hop than hip hop. Sometimes he started talking about, because from a West Coast cat to say it's more important to love, to love in hip hop than anything else, basically. And then he always talk about being humble and stuff like that. It's not like like we lost Nip. Then we lost we lost a young kid out in New York. Talking about we lost Pop and Pop Smoke. And Nip went around the same time. Pop was a little bit out there, and Nip was on a different route. I think Nip would have probably left hip hop and ended up his own TV show or something like that, or just talk.
That's how we felt about Pac too, though.
Because Pac is Pac. That's a very controversial one when you get into it. Pac, that's when art imitates life. So
true.
So Nip is real OG Nip. Pac, nah. I've been to Tupac concerts. I didn't see Tupac perform. That ain't that dude. Like Biggie.
That was acting.
Biggie, that's the boogeyman. That's the fucking boogeyman. I saw the boogeyman and I saw the cousin. So when you I don't know if you saw Big and Concert Mal, but
I didn't.
Biggie's whole presence was just dark. He come on the stage. I saw when he did Ready to Die concert. I saw that in Chicago, and I saw it up in Milwaukee. Big was just big, dark, evil. I'm gonna kill all you motherfucking type person. You sitting in the crowd just like, this nigga's killing.
That's what I heard.
And so
that's what I heard about him. I heard that was the whole vibe.
And Puff in the background looked like, yeah, get him.
Take that.
Take that.
But the thing about it is they couldn't control it. So the thing was, when this guy said, "I'd rather sell dope than rap, and I'd rather go out and hit the streets and rob people," he was proud of it.
He was serious.
There's a Catholic school kid that grew up in Catholic school in New York that said, "I'd rather go out and do evil stuff all day." I love Big, and I knew Big was real about his. I saw Pac. I'm talking Pac was an actor that he hung out with those grimy people. And he started saying, "I want to be like that." Juice turned Pac out. When he turned to Bishop, and Bishop took over his mind, and he became Bishop, and and he couldn't control it. And then you go out there and play the real gangster like Suge, and Suge looking at him like, "You ain't ready for this." And that
they'll change you. They'll change you.
Stay away from that man. You know, everybody's giving this dude advice. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't remember, he came from Digital Underground. You talking Shock G, Humpty Hump. You talking Money B and the rest of them.
Yep.
I love Tupac, but I know it was more staged. And the guy's he also went to school to be an actor, singer, and performer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was an act. It was an act.
And I don't want to discredit his legacy, but that's the way I saw him. I saw the boogeyman. You know how it is. If you're in a room with somebody, you know who's real, and you know who actually killing people, and you know this dude here did some stuff. So
you know some real ones. You know some real ones, and like, okay, well, and they could be laughing and joking with you all the way through, and then
pop, pop, pop.
Next thing you know, they change up. You'd be like, wait a minute, where did you have your gun? Where was that at? You just came out with it all of a sudden. You had it stashed? What happened? So I know it happens real fast. I've heard that about Pop. Nip, I kind of wonder. I think the problem we have is that we never get to see our kids see the other side, right? And I mean, like, I could only, if my story stopped at 27 or 28 years old, y'all would have never seen this guy. You would have only seen the dirty Sprite, whatever, you know what I'm saying? You would have never seen any of that. But now you get to see the respectable family guy, the person who took care of his kids, the person who married his wife, the person who did this. So you never saw me turn the corner. And that's the problem I have with a lot of these kids. Is like, okay, I wish we could have seen Nipsey turn the corner, because he was still in the street life. Because you talking about you was a rolling. Yeah, exactly. I wish I could have seen you turn the corner, and maybe we could have seen some better things come from you and all. Because I mean, he had the center that he was creating, the think tank around the corner from the facility, and and he's still doing all this. So,
well, it's like you saw when Snoop reached out to him, because Snoop basically had been on that journey. So Snoop came to Nip, and Snoop and Nip got a lot of commonality. So Snoop told him, like, "Hey man, I see how you living. Let me put you on." So what I appreciate about that situation was he stuck his hand out to Nip, and he tried to pull Nip out them shadows, and stuff. Then Nip was getting information from everybody to grow his brand and to be a better man. Sometimes you have to have the right influences around you to get to where you want to go. If you're surrounded by negative people all day, then everything is hell and earth, at that point.
Exactly. I've been wondering for years how rappers can they fix their lives, but they don't change their environment. And I've so being raised in Texas, I never continued being around all the people I was around, right? So by the time I had my success, I was already living in another state. It wasn't a crabs in the barrel situation, because I was at this barrel, right? I was in a different barrel. But I couldn't imagine acquiring wealth and being successful in life and still being on the same block. And they try to do that because they want to keep some normalcy. And we see that with every rapper that we've ever liked, from Jason, from we were talking about the Wu-Tang show and all these other things. They want to stay loyal to their same people, but these people are trying to figure out how they can come up to where you are or off of your success. And that's dangerous. And I think that's what happened with Nip. I don't know what happened with Biggie. I've heard weird things, being in the alcohol industry for years. Everybody has it for all of that, even the Tupac stuff. I've heard some wild things from his tour manager. Some of the things that his tour manager used to be my father's secretary, right? So and consequently, her son was playing for the Boston Red Sox. So that's how she ended up doing this management stuff. And she used to tell Tupac and them to get away from Suge. Like, stay away from this man.
Everybody.
And so she used to say some wild things to my father, and my father used to be like, "Oh, I don't know. These young fellas never really understand. I'm a young fella just like them right now. They don't understand, just like I don't understand you." And I didn't realize that everything that my parents were saying about situations was true. They had seen it in some shape, form, or fashion. They used to tell, I mean, come on. Everybody told Malcolm X don't go to the Audubon Theater that day.
Yeah.
And then he went and got killed. He thought that was his path. That didn't have to be his path. He could have all his pieces. You know what I mean? People just don't really understand what these older people are telling them. That's why you have to have at least somebody who can mentor you in your circle. And I think that a lot of times we want to fellowship with people who are going through the same thing, but we need to have somebody who is able to help us and mentor us and tell us the right thing to do. At least show us a good perspective.
Sometimes it's divine intervention, man, and sometimes it's not being in the right place at the wrong time. Because everybody's made that one decision. I didn't do this that night, or I didn't hang out with this dude, or I didn't take that phone call, and something went sideways, and you were out of the situation, and you were like, damn, like that could have been me. And that's crazy. Like, one time I was coming out my grandma's and they were shooting, and I missed it by that much just because I sat in the house. I was being slow that day. So something, you sit in your chair, like I need to get up and go outside. And I didn't get up because for some reason I just didn't get up and go out. You walk into the wrong time out there, you in the middle of it. Or if you're shooting, then you gotta deal with the consequences of seeing something you shouldn't have saw. Because everybody feel like, what you saw you shouldn't have seen, and you need to be quiet about it. So it's crazy. So a lot of times, man, like I grew up on the west side of Chicago. I've seen people lay it out. I've seen people, I know who the shooter is 9 out of 10 times. So a lot of times you could be in the classroom with that person as a shorty, and you grow up and be like, that dude kill people. And that dude, he's a different animal. And I was telling like our kids are so sheltered, man, to be real with you. Like I tell my 11-year-old all the time, you ain't never had to walk through 3 different gang neighborhoods to get to school. You ain't never
that crazy.
Yeah, you ain't never had nobody come up to you and try to false flag to you and try to shake up with you, and they trying to jump you. Because Chicago's big about they come up, speak literature and everything, and jump your ass or take your shit.
I don't know any city besides Los Angeles that is more concerned about their flags than Chicago. I can't even fathom. Somebody told me this was 3 months ago. I'm landing in LA. I have on all black outfit like I do right now, but I had on my red Adidas.
Oh,
all red NMDs. I got off the plane and the white lady at the counter said, "Hey, do you have any other shoes?" I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Do you know you're in LA? Those are all red. You don't even have white on the bottoms or nothing. They are gonna press you." I was like, "What? You mean they're gonna press me?" And she said, "Where are you from?" I said, "I just flew out of Chicago." She said, "You should know better than that." I'm looking like, what? I said, "Really? This is what?" And I told my wife. She started laughing. Is it that bad? It must be just as bad in Chicago as it is in LA. They press people.
They were pressing because the thing about it is, LA is one of those places you need to know somebody out there. You also need to be discreet about your movements. You don't do the social media thing. If you got jewelry, you need to tuck that chain in because them cats.
Oh, don't wear
they
it.
pull up. I've seen people out there get jumped out there. They know they're from out of town. The moment they open up their mouth, because LA sound different. Like Chicago people sound like Chicago people. Chicago people, it's like going to New York. Same shit, man. You go to New York, you just stay out of this neighborhood, stay out that borough. Don't mess with those people because you got Bloods and Crips in New York,
which is crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. And the first time you talk to somebody and they get you on little something stuff. What's up, Blood? I'm like, what's up, man? I'm not answering back on that because that dude a Crip. Why you say what's up, Blood? And they don't even like saying B. They don't even like saying B words. So
crazy.
LA nuts.
New York is funny with that, man. I don't get any how they got the gang culture got so tough out there. I mean, yeah, because I remember that Bloods and Crips album came out. Remember when they had unified right after Rodney King, and they came out them albums, and I listened to it a couple weeks ago. I pulled it up on my iTunes. And I was like, I forgot about this Bloods and Crips album. It went tough. Some of the songs was chopped and screwed. But I remember that's how we started having blood and cripping in Texas. because it changed and it turned into not protect your neighborhood. Now Craigwood was arguing with the other side across the highway, and they, whatchamacallit, Nelly's whole family was from Austin, so they were some big bloods over in Craigwood. So he's from St. Louis, but his family's from Austin.
And then everybody from St. Louis moves to Texas. They move to and stuff like that. So they feel comfortable down there because they all blood. So they move down there to be normal. It's crazy. It's crazy because I didn't realize you travel a lot for work. You go to these different cities. You learn that every city got a ghetto on Martin Luther King Drive. It's the worst fucking street in the city.
Worst street. You don't want to be on that street. He was peaceful. They are not.
Ain't no good drives in this country. And
he was peaceful. They are not.
Yeah, they're not. You're right about that. Like on Kings Highway in St. Louis, and you get to see the real people. I call them the real people. You get to see the real people.
That's real.
You go to Chicago, and you be like, man, I can stay up here and get the same drama that I just saw down there, or I just saw in Philly, or I just saw in New York.
Might as well not even go there.
So both, but you also got to look at the race thing. Chicago and Houston got huge Mexican communities. So you get into the Mexican community, you get into the Latin Kings, you get into Mickey Cobras, you get into crazy stuff.
Yeah. And you don't want no parts of them either.
You want no parts of that. But we started to intermingle and marry, Hispanics. So now you're getting Black Latin Kings,
which is crazy as well. That's weird.
So you be like, you're a Black Mexican. How is this possible? They speak no Spanish. They look just like you and me, and they throwing up something. Or go to Gurnee. Have you been to Gurnee?
I go out there often.
Have you seen the Bloods and Crips of Gurnee, and they're all military?
Yes, it's crazy because you know what? They're all from different countries, different states. Yeah, and they're all right there in the Great Lakes facility. Man,
the military game banging hard, man. I didn't believe it was that bad. You go to the mall out there, and you walk through the mall. You see them. I saw a dude stacking one day out there. He was throwing up signs in the mall. I'm looking like this ain't Chicago. This is Gurnee. But
it's odd, man.
Yeah, he probably Navy. Navy. You're right. Great Lakes is like where they all come.
That's how it was in Killeen. That's how it was in Killeen too, because we have Fort Hood and Killeen, and everybody used to come right there. That's where my best friend is from. So anybody in Killeen is not from there. But I have to catch a conference call at 1:30.
It's been a pleasure, man. I mean, definitely, man.
Hey.
We appreciate you, bro. Big time.
You as well, bro. I'm gonna see you this week. When is y'all's practice?
We got this Tuesday coming up.
I'm gonna be up there Tuesday for a minute. I'll stop by your practice.
All right, man. I'll let you, man. Yeah, definitely check us out everywhere podcast is available, and go out and listen. Be positive. That's all I gotta say to everybody.
My man. Good talking to you, brother.
The Chicago Bulls in Game 6 of the 1996 NBA Finals. The Bulls leading the best-of-7 series 3-2. A victory tonight, and they would capture their 4th championship. The best in the East taking on the best in the West.
Thriller in Manila like I'm Pacquiao. Diamond in the rough, hidden in sand beaches far from Baguio. In my backseat, we ain't lagging now. Going stag with the solo Giannis level sound. No, I don't fuck around. Keep it 100, class of 99. Falling down to 75, a king of the 4th quarter away from prime. Time on your television, mid-range, we barely missing. Devoted to the game, we underdogs that you've been dissing. No showtime when we hit the scene. Slam dunk, no contest. Zach LaVine, all-star level, keep the air on, Mr. Gordon. I implore you, bring the heat. I'm off the floor before I score, but then I throw up the sign, Mr. Commissioner. Swooping like a bet on a mission. Let me cook, I'm in the kitchen. All these villains inefficient, man, they lack the intuition. They ain't got a pot to piss and see the vision, how I'm living, what's up? Not from Gotham, but the city taught me best. If you wanna say something, better say it with your chest. If I hear it from behind, there's no integrity to test. So either pick it up or throw it down and put the shit rest.
If you don't know me by now, I doubt you'll ever know me. Never won a Razzie, not Pretty Tony, but I'm not the only MC keeping it real. Knowledge reigns supreme over that cream, that's how I feel. Spill tea, boss for your cars, so cool your keister. I'm a rock star on these bars, this ain't Ibiza. Going insane in the membrane, no reefer. Going all in for the win, how could I see ya? Hit up JR like, man, I need a feature. An MC Crave, a third islander creature. No stage, no joke, hey, it's nice to meet ya. Me egg in your face, but it ain't Easter. Escobar ether is what I flow with on some cold world shit. Not some bro shit. when you pop off, it don't matter the nouns that you pro with. Daywalkers is click off top with the boldest. Tell me you off, I go off, I'm mad focused. Then they be like, go ahead, I'm lost, and I knows this. I'm mid-range assassin with this. To go switch, I'm Tony Hawk thrashing with this.
At the United Center, the Bulls leading the Sonics 14-12 with 5:33 remaining in the first quarter. Both teams have come out very aggressive, very physical play thus far.
Sage, I'm dope on both sides. My world resides in a space between the real and sublime. This one's for Rico, the conspiracy. I'm serious warnings like frogs falling from the sky. Trusted too many people most my life. Still gullible and I don't know why. My worlds constantly collide. When things go awry, I'm off in a fall guy like Lee Major. Lee Major? 20-30 chance for mayor. If I tag up your block, I did your hood favor. Raise your property tax with flavor. I used to draw black and white to bring up misery. Like Channel 11, past midnight, I'm a mystery.
Thank you for listening to the HipPodHedz podcast. A podcast where no Vac and no Sage discuss their hip-hop inspired moments. Share, like, subs, comment to the show on YouTube and Spotify. Go out and listen to something dope today.
I'm looking forward to going out and playing hard and knowing that, you know, I'm doing what I can to try to make him proud and make my family, my wife, my kids proud and put forth the effort, and whatever happens from that point, you know, it's meant to be or not.